All right, we are now live. Apologies for being late, but I had everything set up, ready to go. I just restarted my computer because I was having some video card lag, and my whole system crashed because NVIDIA sucks and their drivers are garbage. And this is just something that happens every once in a while, and it'll probably end when I format my fucking hard drive and reinstall the operating system, because I've done pretty much all I can do to get this to work. I've reinstalled my video card drivers at least a half a dozen times, along with doing total wipe of the previous installations and all that when you go in there and delete all that shit. The only thing I haven't done is the registry, but still, shouldn't have to do any of that. But eventually, when I buy some new parts for a new system, when I upgrade my system, which I do need to do at some point because I'm no longer at top of the line, or I can't run top of the line anymore like I could a couple of years ago, I'm probably going to switch to AMD just to try it out, because I'm sick of NVIDIA. I'm just sick of their shit. I'm just sick of them putting out bad drivers endlessly, which is all they ever do. Occasionally, they will just put out a driver which just fucks my entire system. And it takes months, usually, for it to just stop doing that, usually with a new driver, where it just magically cures the issue. I'm not really sure why, but yep. So we'll be going through a few different articles. Some of them are going to be full read-throughs, or at least as long as I'm interested in continuing and reading it, just because there's going to be a lot of woke takes. We're going to be we're going to be reading through a few articles based on the Vegas shooting, and just getting some woke takes based on it, because there's some really insane shit that came out following that shooting, and I'll say it now that I'll have a video out right after I finish the stream. I'm going to render it and then upload it. So long as I stop crashing, there will be a new video up tonight. Got myself a very strong screwdriver. I tried one earlier with some Stoli vodka. Wasn't very strong, so I added a little bit more vodka this time. And it's pretty strong now. But we're going to make do. So allow me to take a second to get open the links, and we will start going through the articles. As I said, I had everything ready, but then my whole system crashed. So hopefully that does not happen, because I'd rather it didn't, and we can just get through this stream without any delays. I got a few more articles than just the Vegas shooting, so if you sit here the whole time and go through Vegas shooting articles, that's okay. I got some other ones here, but they're all pretty woke. I will say that they're all pretty fucking woke, which is why I'm going to be showing them to you. Because if there's one thing that I am, or I should say that I aspire to be, it's to be fucking as woke as some of these authors. Because man, oh man, these people are just they are just on a whole other plane. So allow me to copy these all over, and we will get going. While I am switching these articles over to another tab, I will invite all of you to check the description of this video and head on over to my Patreon and subscribe to me on Patreon and give me some of that fucking moolah, fucking ads popping up. Give me some of that sweet moolah of yours. And if you don't want to do that, head on over to Asia and pre-order yourself a copy of whatever the fuck, Beach Splash, which is that Japanese shooter. I plan on taking a look at that game when I have a point, and probably pre-ordering that, because it's the English version, I should say, which is very much something that I was looking forward to and trying out, and it's finally here. So if you are a fan of that series, even though I didn't really name it, head on over there and pick that fucking shit up using my affiliate link. And I'll probably do a commercial at some point this month for that and for JList, because it's now the month of October, which is leading up into Halloween, which is the holiday of the year where you stuff your fucking fat face full of sugary sweets. So you can head on over to fucking JList and pick yourself up some of those Japanese sweets, including some specialty Pepsis and all sorts of shit. Save the world, buy some fucking Pepsi. All right, God damn it, do I have everything? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. No, I do not. Fuck. What am I missing? Oh, right, this one. This woke take, which we will get to, and this fucking CNN article with a fucking video. Hang on. Fort Blair's. I don't know why they make these fucking... I hate these... or these articles. God, I mute it and it still fucking plays, you know? I hate these articles with the fucking videos in them. I don't want to watch any fucking videos, you know? Or if you're going to have them, don't have it on autoplay. Allow me to select whether I want to hear your fucking video or not. In this video, they didn't even say anything. It's not like an explainer, like a short version of what happens. It's just music and fucking slides. No one gives a shit about your slideshow. This isn't fucking freshman year of college at the community college down the street in your fucking journalism 101 class. You want to give a presentation for the professor. No one fucking cares. All right, just give me the fucking news. Shut up. Don't play anything. It's been established ever since fucking MySpace that no one wants to hear fucking music on the page. Nobody. Okay. Allow me to switch this over. And we will start going through the articles. So, first article that we start with is just an article from Daily Wire, which is Ben Shapiro's website. And he has a article here that offers a few means of helping the people in Nevada, should you care to do so. I don't know if I've ever really said this, but I make it a point to not give to charity. I usually give an excuse to say that one of my parents takes care of the charity for our family, which is partially true. My parents do give to charity, but I don't like to give to charity because I am aware of the fact that there are many charities out there that are scams, and I don't know which charity is a bona fide charity and which is just a scam. And I do not like to give money to organizations where all the money just goes to pay for six-figure salaries of the people at the top. Many of those organizations, so-called charities, also push politics, and I do not like that. And I would rather not take the time to go through and have to look up every fucking charity that people come at me for to give money to or do whatever for, volunteer for in any way. I'd rather just save the time and not give than potentially give money to an organization that is going to either do nothing with the money, just pay it to a bureaucrat in the organization, or pay it towards politics that I don't agree with. So that's just my personal belief. You can feel free to give to any charity that you'd like to. It's why I'm showing it here, because I am offering it to those of you that care enough to give. But like I said, and that's one thing you won't ever see on my channel. I will not host any charity shit on my channel ever. Because again, I will not participate in effort where money could be scammed, whether it's from me or from any of you. I will not participate in any of that because I've seen it happen too many fucking times. I'm sure for those of you that are aware of Kickstarter, for those of you that have donated towards projects, I would say that that's a good snapshot of pretty much what the general industry or the general economy is like when it comes to giving money. You really don't know who you're giving to, and unless you take a decent amount of time to research things and you trust the research you find, it's typically not worth it. But like I said, this has been vetted by Ben Shapiro's website, and if you care to do so, it will be linked below for you to do what you will with. However, I thought before we get into the Las Vegas shooting with some of these articles that I got up here, we would talk about another shooting that I was actually going to cover in a news stream, but I decided to use right now. And so I saw this from Breitbart, and you'll have to apologize for the ads. I'll apologize for the ads, but it's on guest view, so I don't have an ad block. There was a shooting in a church. Where was it? Where the fuck was it? I don't remember. Yeah, this happened in September. I don't remember. Do they even say where the fuck it was? Tennessee. Okay. So there was an attack at a church in Tennessee, and it was by some black guy, some black Somali guy, I think. And so you think, okay, maybe it was just some shooting, it's whatever, but no. Based on what was being released, this was actually in retaliation to the shooting that happened in South Carolina in 2015 with Dylan Roof. Many of you will recognize the name. He is that white supremacist guy, young guy with the long hair, curly hair, that went into a black church, and I think it was a Black Baptist church, and shot a bunch of people there in a mass shooting because he was a racist. So this gentleman here thought it would be a good idea, and he's equally young, and I believe he's also a black supremacist. He decided it would be a good idea if he would go into a primarily white church and shoot a bunch of people in retaliation to what happened to that black church in 2015. The good news is that there was a guy there, which I'm surprised they didn't show the picture of in this article. It was some attendee of the church, ran outside. First, he wrestled with this guy. Then he ran outside, grabbed his own gun, and stopped the situation. And I believe he made this guy surrender. Yes, he surrendered and is going to be charged for the attempt at a mass shooting. So this was largely a good story. A very bad thing that was averted because of the heroism of likely one person. And I thought I would showcase that the New York Times did cite this event. They did actually cover this in a decently long article. And it's a good thing that they did, because outside of this article from the New York Times, and this was on the 29th, I don't think I saw anyone else cover this. And this might be just the fact that I don't pay that much attention to the mainstream media. But I didn't really hear much about this. I saw this on the Daily Wire. I saw this on Breitbart. I know it was covered on Fox News. Around mostly right-wing media, but also on the New York Times. And I'm sure the Washington Post and others did write articles about it. But I didn't really see any coverage in the cable media, cable news. I didn't really see anything. And maybe it's just selective that I didn't see it because I largely don't watch it. Or more likely that they chose not to cover it because of the narrative, that this goes against the narrative, that you had a black supremacist attempting to conduct a mass shooting in retaliation for the Dylan Roof guy who, I mean, you could call it terrorism if you wanted to, but because it is based on an ideological motive. But it's really ridiculous in the case of Dylan Roof, because even though it was a mass shooting and it did have ideological reasons for it, it was one guy. And in this case as well, it was one guy. And he had his motivations, and it's based on an ideology, and it's based on hatred based around race. However, there's nothing really more to it than that. There's not really a lot of political connections to either one of the cases. It's just one person carrying out the attack. And I'm not sure if that would meet my definition of terrorism, personally, just because I think that terrorism does require a greater, like if you had, for example, Dylan Roof and then 14 other attacks based around the same kind of reasoning, based around the same kind of organizations, the same kind of ideology, then I could say that, yeah, from my perspective, that's a terror attack. It has to deal with terrorism. There's connections, there's finances, there's a series of things going on. There's a clear ideological motive that can be repeated with different people. In these cases, it was more or less two. You know, you have this guy doing a retaliatory race-based attack that largely failed thanks to the heroism of one person. And then you had Dylan Roof, where he managed to slaughter a decent number of people. It is technically terrorism, but like I said, I don't know if I would qualify it from my perspective as terrorism. However, I thought we would start with this because this got very little coverage. But as it related to the shooting in Vegas, which obviously there's a big distinction in terms of the severity, because this is now the worst mass shooting in America. The previous one, as I say in the commentary that I'm going to upload after we're done with this, the last one was in Orlando with the Pulse nightclub shooting. And that I will call a terror attack, because you had the guy, the shooter, calling the police, informing them that he had declared his allegiance with the Islamic State and that he was going to kill in the name of Allah, and then killed in the name of Allah and killed 50 people. That is a terror attack, because you are declaring your allegiance for a terrorist organization and then conducting a terror attack. There's no clearer example of a terror attack than somebody with ideological motivations carrying something out in the name of an ideology with, like, from their own mouth, allegiances towards a terrorist organization. That is a terror attack. That terror attack is almost everywhere but right-wing media called a mass shooting. Again, it was considered the worst mass shooting until the most recent. And it may have been a mass shooting in that it was one guy with guns. However, it was a terror attack. There's no way to get around it. That is the definition of a terror attack. But it's not called that because it goes against the narrative, which is that I don't even know anymore. Like, we're just supposed to treat Muslims with kid gloves and pretend as though that there's nothing going on in this world and just deny the reality of Europe, and somehow this will all stop. And that's what Europe's been doing. Europe's been going down that line of, well, let's just pretend nothing's wrong and then it'll all stop. And obviously it's not working. So we will read this article from Naz Morden from CNN. This was published on the 4th. And it is in reference to the shooting in Vegas, which was a very horrific event. I'm not sure if any of you have seen the footage that is leaked out from people with smartphones and that were there when it happened. People in adjacent buildings that had filmed it. It's pretty fucking brutal stuff if you've seen it. I haven't seen any footage from when the shooting started, like as the people were getting mowed down. I haven't seen any footage of that. But I've seen footage of right after the first few bursts happened and people were already on the ground dead. I've seen, obviously, the footage of him, the shooter, in the hotel room dead. There's been a whole slew of investigations going on and all sorts of leaks that have happened, and a whole lot's going on still currently. People are trying to track down exactly why he did this and how he was able to do it and all that, because originally they thought that this was, a guy in his hotel room with some guns, and he did this because he, managed to get the guns up there and all the rest. But if you look in the photos, it's unbelievable. There's just guns piled up everywhere. There's entire piles of magazines. It's incredible. And what's amazing is that there's been reporting saying that he actually planned to escape, that he didn't expect the police to show up there, or maybe he just gave up and decided, fuck it, I'll go out. But he had planned, from what I've seen based on the reporting, he had planned to escape from the shooting, which is insane. Because, again, it begs the question, who would go on a fucking insane shooting rampage, killing 60 people and wounding however hundreds more, and leave? Like there's just so much, and he had like apparently there's evidence to say that he was planning on making a car bomb. And again, it's like, okay, you have a guy in a building shooting down a crowd. You have a guy with a fucking car bomb potentially, although he didn't manage to finish it. Like so much of this in terms of the preparation is unbelievable. Like it is methodical. It is something that would be akin to what you would see like with a terrorist organization like Al Qaeda or something else. And apparently this guy did it all by himself, but based on new reporting, which I don't have an article for, they're now looking into the idea that there was another person helping him doing this. There's been reporting from InfoWars, which I can't support, but or I should say, I can't say that I agree with entirely and say it's the truth or whatever, but there is reporting from InfoWars saying that the shooter had met somebody in his hotel room either the day before or no, a few days before he was supposed to even be there or something like that. I had to read the article, but he had met somebody there and ate a meal with them. And there's receipts to say that he had ordered up for more than one person. Could that be that he just ate it all himself? Possibly. But there's evidence to say that there was somebody else in the hotel room with him, and there's now police saying that based on the evidence, based on their investigations, which are still ongoing, that there was likely a second person that was helping him with this. And the girlfriend is declaring her innocence. I would say that I think she's lying in terms of not knowing that this guy was going to do something. She seems to be extremely shady. There's all sorts of crazy reporting on her. So she may be some kind of criminal herself. I think that it was wise for the police to pick her up. And I hope that they do not let her go because she is a fucking flight risk, obviously. So hopefully they hang on to her and do some serious investigation into her. But let's get to this article. So Naz Modin is a content editor for Muslim Girl, a publication focused on Muslim women's issues and empowerment. The views expressed in his commentary are solely those of the author, except for they leave the part with CNN, which they shouldn't do. Even if it is an opinion, you can print it. You know, fucking Naz here could keep it on her fucking blog. But instead you published it. In the wake of one of the worst it's the worst mass shooting in modern American history, our government's highest leaders will be silent about why things like this keep happening. Warmest condolences will be tweeted to the families of those who lost their lives. Minutes of mourning will pass, and murmurs of mental health issues and lone wolf actors will taper into silence. Taming homegrown terror and tightening gun control will be dismal as inappropriate or unnecessary politicizing of a tragedy. I don't know what the fuck that was. And quickly become secondary to more pressing issues on the administration's agenda. America has been here before. So, again, we don't know his motivations. We don't know his political allegiances. We don't know who assisted him, if anyone. So, to say that this is terror is not accurate. We don't know his motivations. If he left a note saying, I'm doing this in the name of Jesus Christ, I'm doing this in the name of Allah, I'm doing this in the name of the Democratic Party, I'm doing this in the name of Bernie Sanders, I'm doing this in the name of X, then you can then go on to make the argument that this was terrorism. We don't know what his motivations were in any way. I have not seen anything to say what his motivations were. Nothing. So this is not terrorism. It is a mass shooting. It is a horrible incident. It is whatever you want to call it. It is not terrorism because terrorism requires political motivation and at least from my perspective, some kind of network. Even just an ideological allegiance to me isn't enough. But usually it requires a network because this guy got all these guns and all the rest. If there was an expanded network that helped him get the firearms and get the ammunition and set up everywhere, and he talked through the strategy with other people and they worked together to get this to happen, then it is terrorism. But the fact is that so far we have one fucking guy, speculation as to maybe there being someone else, and no motivation at all. That is not terrorism. The fact that you want to call it terrorism is because every attack by a Muslim, every attack by a Muslim is terrorism. I can't think of a single attack where it hasn't been some Muslim guy in a bar or something punching somebody else or something like that. Something benign. Outside of that benign bullshit, every attack that has been done by a Muslim, whether it's the guy in fucking Florida or the Zanarov brothers or whatever the fuck in Boston or anywhere else, it has always been religiously motivated. And so many times they have had direct connections or pledged allegiance to terrorist organizations. That is why people make the distinction with Muslims. It is because almost every time a Muslim commits an attack, they have links to terrorist organizations, they have allegiances or sympathies to terrorist organizations, and they are doing what they are doing in the name of their God. There's no way to equivocate around that fact. So you can write whatever you want to in your bullshit blog, but that's just the facts as they are. Go tell it to all the fucking dead people in Europe. Let's see here. In fact, America has been here 273 times in 2017 alone. So I don't... What do you mean by that? 273 what? According to Gun Violence Archive, which compiles deaths and injuries from shooting incidents and defines a mass shooting as any incident where 4 or more people are wounded or killed. According to their tally, there have also been 11,698 deaths as a result of gun violence so far this year. And many of those are going to be suicide, by the way. And many of the ones that aren't suicide are the ones in the inner cities done by black people. So do you want to talk about that? Do you want to talk about Detroit? Do you want to talk about St. Louis, which are the most violent? They make Chicago look like fucking Disney World. I'll show the statistics in the video that's going to go up later. I don't get into it because I only just discovered them. St. Louis, Detroit, Baltimore, they all make fucking Chicago look like Disney World. They really do. They are out of control in Louisiana, in not Baton Rouge. Maybe it is Baton Rouge. I can't remember. Somewhere in Louisiana as well is fucking insanely high. It's way higher than Chicago. Way fucking higher. So you can spare me about how, you know, there's some serious epidemic of white people doing whatever. No, gotta tell you that based on all the statistics that I can find, disproportionately, the people commit black men in inner cities. And it's for whatever, gang warfare or whatever else, whatever they're doing it for. It's not even terrorism. It's crime. Crime usually around drugs, probably, if not turf or whatever else involving gangs. It's funny, too, with the majority of victims, because I thought it would be black people as well. It's actually whites, if you can believe it. Majority of perpetrators are black, majority of victims are white. The statistics really don't help, by the way. They really don't help. So don't talk about statistics, because I'll bring them up too. And they make me sound like I'm part of the fucking alt-right. So don't bring up statistics. Between 2001 and 2014, 400,095 deaths by firearms occurred on U.S. soil, while deaths by terrorism during those years numbered 3,412. That sounds pretty fucking low. That sounds pretty low. I don't know if I agree with that number. But even, let's say that's the number, is that you're not, or the fact is that you are counting suicides. I know I'm not even going to click the link because it's probably some fucking video or something. You're counting suicides. And suicides are obviously different than homicides. So you don't include them. And even if you aren't, let's pretend that you aren't, and I know you are, there's a difference between somebody robbing somebody, you know, give me your money or I'll kill you, and then there's a struggle and that person dies, and or say, for example, a cop shooting somebody. I wonder if you're including that, you know, a cop pulling a gun and shooting a criminal. I wonder if you're including that. You probably are, but there's a difference between that and flying they're not 747s, I forget the plane type, but flying some airliners into a couple towers and then collapsing them in New York City. There's a bit of a difference. I don't know if I can. There's a bit of a difference between one gangbanger shooting another gangbanger in fucking St. Louis versus a guy calling the police saying that I am going to kill a bunch of people in the name of Allah, showing up at a nightclub and shooting 50 people because they're gay. Which is one of the things. I mean, I know you're a Muslim and you don't give a shit about gays, or at least you pretend to, maybe at your best, but you believe they should die because you are an ardent Muslim. But I care. I care what happens to gay people in this country. And one of the reasons I care is because I know that if there were more of you in this country, being frank, that I would potentially be on the block. I'd be against the wall because I'm an atheist. And as we all know, we all, you know, as God, what's his name? Richard Dawkins. As Richard Dawkins famously said over and over again, asked a Muslim of over and over again, what is the penalty of apostasy in Islam? And he said it to this guy over and over and over again in a famous video. And the answer is death. That is what Muslims, that is the remedy Muslims have for apostates, which is what I am. I am an atheist. So if you had the means to do so, especially male Muslims, you'd kill me because your holy book says to do it and you are ardent, fervent believers in your religion. That is what these statistics bear out. So, you know, you can spare me. You can spare me this moralizing, this fucking bullshit, because all I know, what this is apologetics. That is what you were reading here. This is just apologetics for Muslims. It's not to do with anything else. You know, it's not about gun control. If it is about gun control, it's some fucking half-screw turn away from trying to get guns out of people's hands to make it easier for Muslims to commit more terror. You know, this is just Islamism. You know, like I'm not giving you any benefit of a doubt in this article because based on Europe, based on Australia, based on Canada, based anywhere where Muslims are trying to colonize our nations, the Western nations, there are Islamists pushing propaganda everywhere. And you are very likely another one of them. You don't fool me. I don't believe you. I don't believe you give a shit. I'm sure that some part of you relishes in the fact that there are this many fucking Americans dying every year or dying in the last 14, 13 years. Relishes this because you are an Islamist. Because everything about you is about being a Muslim. You're not about being an American. You're not about being a civil libertarian. You're not about being an individualist. You're not about being anything other than a Muslim. That is what defines you. So I'm going to assume that you are an Islamist. Just in many ways, if I met, you know, a lunatic evangelical Christian who makes every part of their life about being a Christian, the most purest Christian they could be, I'm going to assume that person's a theocrat. But the difference is going to be they're probably not violent. They're probably just insufferable. That's going to be the difference. But with Muslims, kind of violent and dangerous. And that's why my policy proposal, as it relates to Muslims, is our intake should be as close to zero as possible. It's not to hurt people. It's not to deport a whole shitload of people. It's not to do whatever, anything violent, anything crazy, anything unconstitutional. It's just make our importation limit as close to zero as possible. And I can guarantee you that as the direct result of that, we will have very few terror attacks. Very fucking few. I know that in Europe right now, especially in France, to have a terror attack or almost a terror attack just about every day. But here it's pretty rare. And I'm pretty sure it has a lot to do, not with white men, but with Muslims and how many of them are here. So let's keep reading. Mass shootings are a violent epidemic that have been met with fatal passivity for far too long. If mass shootings, they're not. I mean, they were frequent for the past few years, but they weren't like every other day. I mean, if you count St. Louis and the rest, yes, but that's not what we're talking about. You're conflating that to bolster your numbers. By brown bodies, this would be quickly reframed and reformed as an immigration issue. If thousands died at the hands of black men, they are. There are a lot of fucking people dying in this country at the hands of black men. Many of them are other black men, and I do care about the issue, and I want to talk about the issue of violence in this country because I have friends still that are black. I have people that I hang out with that are black. I know people from Buffalo who are obviously black. I went to high school with people that were black, went to college with people that are black that I care about. You know, I don't want to see them hurt. I don't want to see Buffalo become dangerous. I don't want to see my county become dangerous. I don't want to see this area become dangerous. And the fact is that it's not Latinos, it's not Puerto Ricans, it's not whites, it's not Asians. It's black people. It's black people in my area. It's black people in Buffalo. It's black people in Rochester. It's black people in New York City. That is who is committing the majority of these crimes. And that's who there's probably in some cities, I'd probably say in Buffalo, the majority of victims are black. But based on the figures that have been provided by the FBI, the majority of the victims are white. It's not by a whole lot, but the majority of the victims are white. But the fact is that right behind them, it's a lot of fucking poor black people that are innocent fucking people. They're just trying to live their lives, just trying to do right by their families, are not doing anything wrong, that are not involved in any way in crime, that are being gunned down in the streets by criminals who are black, majority black, by a heavy amount. Violent crime in this country is a problem, and the fact is that while there are a lot of white criminals in this country, the fact is that it has a lot to do with property crime. That's the distinction. Violent crime, blacks in the majority, and it is an issue. And it is something that should be defined. It should be something that's said. There are going to be violent criminals in the rural parts of this country. They are going to be white. You are going to have white criminals in the inner city. But the fact is that you're going to have a black criminal shooting a black victim and being shot probably by a black cop. Because that's where we are in the inner cities at this point. St. Louis and Detroit, I don't even know enough about, because all I know is that I just look up the statistics and they're fucking insane. The statistics in St. Louis, I mean, maybe I'll show them to you. You'll see them in the video that I'll show you. I won't do it now just because I want to move on. But they are insane. They are insane. It's like looking at a country that's in Brazil. It's unbelievable. But again, more than anything, and I've said this before, you know, I think, and I said this to Sargon, I've been saying this for a while now, that I think what could happen to help more black people is for more black people, honestly, to become conservatives. I think we need more black conservatives in this country. I don't mean retard conservatives, but principled, knowing, intellectual conservatives. If we had more black conservatives saying to other black people, just to get them to bridge the gap, because they don't want to listen to Whitey, apparently. Get black conservatives to say to all these kids growing up, listen, you have to do better than your parents did to you. You have to do better. You have to try harder. It's not going to be easy. You know, I came from a working class background. It's not easy to bridge the gap between social or economic classes, but you got to try. You got to make that fucking effort. And you got to stop. You got to stop with the fucking white supremacist defeatism. Like, I don't have to try at all. I'm just going to give up. I'm just going to become a thug because we live in a white supremacist nation where black people can't succeed. That is fundamentally false. We do not live in that country. There are an unbelievable amount of really successful billionaires, black people. You know, we have a black member of the Supreme Court. We get a black president for the past 8 years. There's black people in Hollywood, all over entertainment, all over comedy, all over video games even. I mean, you have the guy for fucking, hold on, let me look it up. It's the guy that's working on Cyberpunk 2077. I think he wrote Cyberpunk 2077. He's currently working with CD Projekt Red to make it. It's based on... Where is it? Where's this fucking guy's name? Mike Pondsmith. Mike Pondsmith is a black author. He's also super old. And let me get his picture up here. So, yeah, if you want to... I mean, we're talking about a game that's going to be probably revolutionary. Revolutionary in gaming, done by a major fucking outlet. Major fucking outlet. Could revolutionize, you know, sci-fi, cyberpunk, everything in gaming. And the guy that wrote the whole fucking thing is Michael Pondsmith, who is a black author, black sci-fi author. So yeah, we don't live in a fucking white supremacist country. We're not in a country that turns away incredibly talented black people. This is a country that celebrates people regardless of what they look like, so long as what they do is great. And based on what I know about Cyberpunk, and based on what I know about what is planned for this game and who Michael Pondsmith is and his contributions to it, it looks to be fucking great. Again, it could revolutionize gaming. And this is the guy that's behind it. We do not live in a white supremacist country. We live in a country that celebrates people that are black. And we have for a very, very long time. So that's the thing. That needs to be beaten into the head over and over and over again to black people in this country from other black people, probably black conservatives, because apparently black liberals are just going to be on the train of fucking white supremacist fucking guilt and white guilt forever. Absolving people of responsibility forever. Denying autonomy forever. So if it's going to have to be conservatives that say to black people over and over again, we don't live in a white supremacist country. There are plenty of people in this country who have been contributing for hundreds of years to this country that are black. You can do it too. You just have to try. Then, you know, that's what's needed then. Then that's what needs to happen. Because if we can get into the minds of these kids growing up that the only thing that's stopping them is their own ambition, how much they want to, invest in their own life to being successful, that if that's what's limiting them, then that'll encourage people to actually try, to actually, motivate them to do something. And obviously people get out of that situation and do very well, but the problem is not enough. There are too many people in the inner cities that just give up. They just say, fuck it. I live in a shitty country of shitty people that are holding me back and holding me down. So fuck it. And that shouldn't be how anyone sees this country, because it's not true. It is not true. That is not the country we live in. We don't live in that country. If it ever existed, it's been longer. It died before my parents were even alive. That country, if it ever existed, is gone. So get past it. And don't listen to fucking people who say that say that we live in any kind of terrible country that's going to hold you down. That's bullshit. That is bullshit. We live in a country that's plenty of fucking problems. And I'm one of the people saying that there are problems. But that ain't one of them. Obama sold out just as easy as any other fucking president. You can sell out too. There you go. Feel encouraged. Maybe you too can grow up to be an oligarch. Do I even want to continue with this shit? Since 1982, mass shootings, blah, 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 blah. White pride, Second Amendments. Okay, fuck this article. We'll just move on. I don't give a fuck. So now we move on to Telcom X over at The Intercept. By the way, I have a few Intercept pieces that I'm probably going to be talking about, not in a standalone video, but in a stream like this. The fucking Intercept is just out of control. I've seen at least 3 articles by Li Fang that are all regressive shit. Li Fang has really let me down. He is just writing regressive shit after regressive shit. So this was written back on the 2nd by Telcom X, who called his own mother a whore. The white privilege of the lone wolf shooter. So this is very similar to what was written in that previous article, and you'll notice that this is just narrative. When you read the same thing over and over and over again, it's narrative. It's not just talking points, that this is something part of the ideology that has been accepted and is just spewed out by journos. Last night, the United States experienced the deadliest mass shooting in modern American history. Thank you for at least saying that. That's actually correct. Thank you. So you're already better, Sean, than the previous cunt. At least 58 people are dead and over 500 more wounded. That's also correct. Excuse me. More than 500 people were injured in one single incident. Yep. As tens of thousands enjoyed a music festival on the streets of Las Vegas, a 60-year-old Stephen Paddock of Mesquite And Nevada was perched 32 floors above them in Mandalay Bay hotel room. In his Mandalay room, Paddock had 19 rifles and hundreds of rounds of ammo. I'm pretty sure it was probably thousands of rounds of ammo, because the dude fired a lot. So I'm pretty sure it was thousands. Supplies that are plentiful in a nation that has more guns than people. I'm not actually sure that's true. Supplies that are a few minutes after 10 o'clock, Paddock opened fire on an unsuspecting crowd. They were sitting ducks. That's true. No expensive wall along the Mexican border would have prevented this. That's not the same issue. Talcum, okay, Mr. X, that's not the same issue. No Muslim ban stopping immigrants, and refugees. You can't see the quotations I'm making with my fingers. From a few randomly selected countries from reaching our shores would have slowed this down. Not this particular incident, no, but the truck that would have driven into the crowd and killed probably twice as many people like it has in Europe. You know, that would have been the issue. Paddock, like the majority of mass shooters in this country, was a white American. Okay, yeah, it's been a majority, but it's definitely not exclusively white. One of the worst mass shootings was Virginia Tech, and that was a Korean student. It was a male student. Like I said on Twitter, if we're doing any kind of mass shooting-based bans, we're banning only Korean men. I will never support a full Korean ban, just Korean male ban. Actually, that's preferable. So let's hurry up and add that quota, up the quota for Korean immigration, and also ban men from Korea. I'm pretty sure that will solve every problem in this nation, and I have studies. I am a political scientist. I have written papers, and I have genuinely published papers, and I will write a paper talking about how every problem this nation faces will be solved by a mass immigration of Asian women, whether it's from Japan or Korea, it doesn't matter. Some of you probably have your preferences, but we don't know until we check the study. We need to look at the we need to look at the data until we know for sure. But we can only know until it happens. First, the mass immigration happens, then we find out how awesome it is. And whoever says there's a downside, they're going up against the wall, just to be clear. Where was I with this? Blah, blah, blah. The national discourse, whiteness somehow. Sorry, excuse me. Whiteness somehow protects men from being labeled. Again, it's not terrorism. Telcom, it's not terrorism. We don't know his fucking motivations. We don't know any connections that he had to any organizations. We don't know if he was financed by anyone. He apparently was independently wealthy, so he bought all this shit himself. But we don't know where he bought it. We don't know how he got it. We don't know how he ascertained it all into the building. We don't know if there was someone else involved. And if it was just him and it was done for no fucking reason, it's not terrorism. It requires different steps in order to become terrorism. You can't just call it terrorism just because there's a lot of Muslim terrorists, which is why you want to call it terrorism. Because it's a narrative. The privilege here is that the ultimate conclusion about shootings committed by people from commonly non-white groups often leads to determinations about the corrosive or destructive nature of the group itself. I won't say that about black people, because I know a decent few black people. I have black friends. I've gone to school with black people. And I got to tell you, go meet a black person from a city like Orchard Park, an uber rich city. Go meet a black person from rural America. Go meet somebody who's black from an upper middle class suburb. Go meet somebody who's black that grows up in a majority white area. Unless it's poor, they are going to be middle class cunts, just like everybody else. Just because they're black doesn't mean anything. I know people that were wealthier than me from upper middle class families that I went to high school with. Guess what? They were jocks, just like all the other jocks. Actually, well, they're preppies, really. But point being, wealth plays an important part in American society. If you grow up poor and you become rich, it's hard to get you out of the ghetto in terms of that mindset. But if you grow up rich and you're black, you're rich. And the whole ghetto upbringing doesn't exist, and you don't act that way unless you becomes an act or a shtick. That you feign being like that, even though you're uber fucking, stuck up and bourgeois, because that's how everyone else is from that environment. So spare me. Muslims, yeah, it's true. Doesn't even matter. Doesn't matter how rich or poor you are as a Muslim. Doesn't matter. You have a significant chance of committing some kind of act. It is ridiculously disproportionate with Muslims. Ridiculously disproportionate. So, you know, you can say whatever, and you can say that that's a bigoted opinion. Fine. I don't give a shit. I don't give a shit what you want to have to say about me and what I think about Muslims. All I see is every fucking day out of Europe, there's either an avoided attack or a successful attack. You know, you can say whatever you want to, but like Muslims in Europe are what black people are in the inner cities in this country. It is out of control in Europe in terms of, and it is out of control in the United States in terms of the inner cities. For centuries, when an act of violence has been committed by an African-American, racist tropes follow, and eventually the criminalization and dehumanization of an entire ethnic group. Again, you have to cite specific instances. If you want to talk about the dehumanization of black people, and you want to say that it's the one famous black guy that got lynched in the South by probably some cops, sure, yeah. That's horrible. It's insane. It's terrible. It's obvious discrimination and racism and an abuse of the authority of those people and the rest. And yes, there was disgusting things that happened once upon a time in this country. But the fact is that, again, that was before my parents were even born. So why is it relevant to right now? Oh, it's relevant because it's part of your narrative. That's why you want to bring it up. For centuries, an act of violence has been committed, blah, blah, blah. Okay, let's read it down. Privilege always stands in contrast to how others are treated, and it's true in this case too. White men who resort to mass violence are consistently characterized primarily as isolated lone because we don't even know if this guy had accomplices in any way. We don't know anyone. We don't know yet if anyone helped him in any way yet. We don't know any of it. So saying lone wolf is pretty fucking accurate. If somebody buys all this shit, sets everything up, plans it all themselves, and then commits to the fucking act all by themselves, yes, it's a lone wolf attack. Especially when there's no underlying ideological motive. That's the important part. If there's nothing ideological about it, it's not terrorism. Most of the problematic aspects of being white in America are given a pass that nobody else receives. Stephen Paddock's whiteness has already afforded him many outrageous protections in the media. Yeah, I'm sure. Right-wing media. That's the only media that is going to say that he was a lone wolf shooter, because he was. It's going to be the left-wing media, which is pretty much everything else at this point. And left-wing in quotations. While the blood is still congealing on the streets of Las Vegas, Nevada, don't talk about how soon it is. The bodies are still warm. Meanwhile, we're talking about fucking how the shooter has whiteness and fuck him. And yet an investigation into his motivations and background has only just started. Yes, and nothing has been found. Police were only beginning to move to search his home and computers. His travel history has not been evaluated, and they didn't find anything on his computer, supposedly. No one had yet thoroughly scrutinized it. No, they already have. And I'm pretty sure they have, but it's... Oh, when did you do this? The second? Well, could you wait in a fucking day? Lone wolf is how Americans designate how white suspects in mass shootings... Okay, if a black man took a bunch of rifles into the top of a building and started shooting people, and basically people looked into him to see, oh, is he a black supremacist? Is he a Muslim? Is he a religious Christian, or a ridiculously religious Christian who's shooting, at some atheist concert, or something, whatever. If there was some clear depiction of what he could be, why he's doing what he's doing, this black guy, you could say he's a terrorist if there's a clear reason, or at least assume it. But if there's no reason, and if you look into him and there's nothing about him that says that he's a black supremacist and he shot black people too and everything else, and it's like, okay, yeah, he's just a lone wolf then. He's just a mass shooter. It's not because he's black. It's not because of his politics. It's not because of anyone else's politics or anyone else's skin color. It's because he's a lone wolf. There's no real reason other than nihilistic violence and hatred. That's the reason. And that's not terrorism. It's not terrorism. It is accurate to describe it, whether it's a white person doing it, a black person doing it, any color person doing it, so long as there's no underlying reason. Then it's a lone wolf attack, especially if they're fucking alone. Talcum X, you fucking cunt. James Holmes, who was fucking insane, was called a lone wolf attack when he shot and killed 12 people in a movie theater in Aurora, Colorado. Again, there was no reason. He was crazy. I'm pretty sure he got off because he was crazy. I'm pretty sure he's in a mental hospital. Dylan Roof, who again was a terrorist. You can argue was a terrorist because he had an ideological motivation. You disingenuous fuck. Who walked into a black church, you mean, in Charleston, South Carolina, and shot and killed the pastor and 8 other parishioners. Was he declared a lone wolf? I don't know if that's true or not. Maybe, because he was alone in doing it, but you can argue he was a terrorist. For people of color, and especially for Muslims, again, gotta talk about this. Gotta apologize for Muslims. They're at the top of the progressive stack. The treatment is often different. Muslims often get labeled as terrorists before all the facts have come out. And 9 times out of 10, 9.9 times out of 10, it's in the name of Allah that they're doing what they're doing. Because with Muslims, it's predictable. Now, if a Muslim person in New York City punches somebody, maybe then it's not a terrorist attack. If the Muslim drives a truck into a crowd, probably a terrorist attack. Just consider President Donald Trump this morning tweeted, my warmest, blah, blah, blah. I don't give a fuck what Trump tweets. Compare that how many paragraphs are you going to denote to how Trump is tweeting? Who fucking cares? We ask ourselves, why do certain acts of violence absolutely incense Trump and his base, while others only elicit warm thoughts and prayers? This is the deadliest mass shooting in American history. Where is the outrage? Where are the policy proposals? Well, again, we don't know what we can do until we investigate. How are we supposed to know what we can do about this guy in this shooting if we don't know what the fuck happened and how and why? We don't know anything. We don't know. It's still being investigated. The cops are now saying there may have been someone else involved. They don't fucking know. They're still investigating. This is a big deal, and it's taking time because it requires time to do investigations. I do it for a living. It takes time. When you assume shit, that's how you get shit wrong. But the issue is, with Muslims, you can usually guess right. What we are witnessing is the blatant fact that white privilege protects even Stephen Paddock, an alleged mass murderer, not just from being called a terrorist, but from the anger, rage, hellfire, and fury that would surely rain down if he were almost anyone other than a white man. Again, it has to do, were we calling the Korean guy in Virginia Tech, were we calling him a terrorist? Were we calling him a fucking Muslim? Or were we calling him different things? Or were we like, wow, this crazy Korean guy shot a whole shitload of people at this college? Was that the response to Virginia Tech? Because I don't remember any of this bullshit talking about how, what was he called? Was he the Korean lone wolf? What was it? Spare me this bullshit. His skin protects him. It also protects you, Talcum X. It also prevents our nation from having an honest conversation about why so many white men do what he did. Why are so many white men addicted to opium? I'm pretty sure it's white privilege. Why are so many white men committing suicide? I'm pretty sure it's white privilege. Why are so many white men victims of divorce and everything else? Everything, homelessness, unemployment, everything else in the society. Why is it that so many white men have it bad in this country? Well, why is it that the white supremacy isn't protecting them? That's the answer I want to hear from you, Talcum X. Why isn't it the white supremacist government and the white supremacist society and white supremacist structures and institutions? Why aren't they protecting all of these different white men and white women that are suffering? Where's their help? Where's their check? Why aren't they being saved? How come their white supremacy and white privilege didn't save them from the hellfire bullets from this guy? How come their skin didn't protect them from fucking bullets? Oh, it's because it doesn't fucking exist elsewhere than your own mind and the minds of all these fucking people that I wish were the ones that took these fucking bullets, because nothing then would be lost. People are fucking degenerate pieces of shit. And if you go, I hope that no one misses you. I certainly won't. Because you're damaging to this country. You are. You are absolutely fucking damaging. And it's only a matter of time. It's only a matter of time before people like, not necessarily Talcum X because he's a grifter, but the insane people that read these articles and get all fired up like that black guy. You know, that black guy that showed up at that church and tried to kill a bunch of people in revenge for Dylan Roof. There's going to be more attacks like that. There's going to be more attacks like that. And it's going to be by progressives. Self-avowed progressives. Self-avowed social justice activists. Just like that guy down in Texas who shot a bunch of cops. There's another guy down south that shot a bunch of cops that I covered pretty thoroughly. And that was in Baton Rouge. And I forget the name of that guy, but he shot a bunch of cops and it was in the name of social justice. And I believe his phrase was, social justice is my religion, something like that. There's going to be more of those. And you are a purveyor of propaganda for those people to incentivize them and provoke them into doing attacks like that. And that's why I say I wish that you people took those bullets in Vegas, because you are worthless, less than worthless. You are damaging to our society. I fucking hate you. And if, again, you die, I don't fucking care. Good, fuck you. I spoke to 2 black people, blah, blah, blah. Okay, let's just move on. Oh. Okay, we'll get to that in a second. All right, so we'll move away from that very serious subject and me calling for the death of people. And we'll move to this article by the Daily Caller, which I believe is Tucker Carlson's website. And it is called Black Student Group Complains Ivy League School is Letting in Too Many African American Students. Or I should say African. Cornell University, which is a big university. It's also prestigious, I mean. Black Students Union demanded the university start recruiting more Black American students because the campus has too many African Caribbean students Wednesday. Black Students United, a group for students identifying with the African dysphoria, handed the university president a list of 12 demands, with one of them dealing with the disproportionate representation of actually African students compared to Black students on the campus. I like the distinction. I like the distinction between people actually from Africa and the Caribbean being distinct from Black Americans. And that's actually somewhat true, based on my experience. There was a Caribbean group in, there is one in Buff State. And I met a couple people from it, and they were all actually from the Caribbean. They're all immigrants. And they were all Black, at least from my viewpoint, but they didn't actually mingle that much with the actual Black students. They didn't really mingle too much. And I was in the student senate, and none of the Caribbean students were actually in the student senate. It was all the Black kids that were just the African Americans from the area that were in the student union, or the student senate rather. And I thought that was weird. I thought it was weird that there weren't any, because there was members from all these different groups in the Senate, but there were none from the Caribbean group. And I thought that was weird. But anyways, we demand that Cornell admissions to come up with a plan to actively increase the presence of underrepresented Black students on this campus. We define underrepresented Black students as Black Americans who have several generations, more than 2 in this country. Wow, is that a nativistic fucking demand? Wow, that is like, I mean, that's really nativistic. Really nativistic. I mean, if you had that for white people, I don't know if I'd qualify. More than 2 generations in this country. So does that mean that your grandfather has to be native born as well? Like, I'm not sure what they mean by more than 2 generations, meaning your grandfather is in the country, then your parents, and then you. I guess that's 3. But is it who's actually born here? I guess it's not. It just says in this country. It's still nativistic for sure. But I guess I would qualify. I'm not Black, obviously, but if it was a white man's group, I would at least be able to qualify for this very specific Black, or for that specific inverse for a white man's group, in that I'm 3 generations American. But I just want to say to any of you coons listening to this, any of you coon listeners who are less than 2 generations in this country, you are not part of Black America. You're the Caribbean coons, goddammit. You stay the fuck off of Cornell. I am a white ally of this Black group in Cornell, and I'm going to be out there with my baseball bat telling you fucking niggers to get off the campus. We only accept more than 2 generations of Blacks in this country on this campus, goddammit. None of you new niggers are allowed on the campus. I am a white progressive ally, okay? That means I'm allowed to say this. This is so ridiculous. Black Student United takes issue with the fact that there are more African and Caribbean students on campus when compared to Black students. The group defines Black students as those who come from Black families that have lived in America for 2 or more generations. You're not helping. While the group said that it doesn't mind the university trying to recruit African students, they want the college to pay more attention to Black students whose families have been affected by years of white supremacy. Oh, is that an admission that it's over with? Or is it just like, is there like compounded fucking white guilt? Like there's a compounding of supremacy. Like the more generations you're here, it just compounds the layers of fucking supremacy. I didn't realize that that's how it works. Is there any way to alleviate this fucking white supremacy other than to not be born here? Like if you're born from any other country in this world, like if you are a Black person born in Japan, can we define what kind of white supremacy exists there when you are such a fringe group that you represent less than 0.01% of the population? And that's true about Japan. 0.01%, less than that, is someone other than Japanese. Can we talk about the white supremacy there? And we'd have to. There are progressives that do say that, by the way. So I'm only half joking. The Black student population at Cornell disproportionately represents international or first-generation African or Caribbean students. Well, I mean, I hope that they got in there because they deserve to be there. I know universities at this point are worthless, but it would be great if we were importing a whole bunch of people that were really, really smart and getting into Cornell and deserve to be there because they're really smart and really hardworking, and maybe they are. And great if that's the case, if that's who we're bringing in. Good for them. I got a feeling that's not the case, but you know, I guess it's up to the Blacks on this campus to recruit some white allies to go beat the shit out of these fucking new niggers. Get them off the campus. Probably go to St. Louis, Detroit, and Chicago and hire yourself some fucking thugs. There's a new lack of investment in Black students whose families were affected directly by the African Holocaust. Oh my fucking God. Are you fucking... I haven't read this whole article before. I'm going to read this again, okay? While these students have a right to flourish at Cornell, there is a lack of investment in Black students whose families were affected directly by the African Holocaust in America. I am going to zoom in on this word just so, okay, it doesn't work if I can't find it. Fuck. Where the fuck is it? Shit. Ah! Okay, there it is. African Holocaust. Jesus Christ. I need specific dates to when this. I guess it's never ended. I guess the African Holocaust in America has never ended. It's still ongoing. When will it stop? Oh my God. Cornell must work actively to support students whose family have been impacted for generations by white supremacy and American fascism, which is just, and that will never end. The group wrote, the demands for Black Students United came after a Black student alleged that fraternity Psi Epsilon members brutally assaulted him and called him a nigger. So that was me. I thought he was from the Caribbean. It was a mistake. Okay, I'm trying to be a good ally. I'm trying to call the Caribbean new students, their first generation. I'm trying to call them niggers, get them off the campus. I didn't know. You know, it's hard to tell sometimes. You got to listen to the accent. I didn't hear him. I just ran up and punched him, called him a nigger. Or yeah, or me and a whole bunch of people, a bunch of my frat bros, progressive frat bros from Psi Epsilon, beat the shit out of him, called him a nigger. The demands also call for that frat to be shut down and give up its house to students of color together. So not only are they closing the house, they're closing the frat. They're demanding the house. Well, that's one way to get reparations. Get the shit kicked out. You can get called the niggers. You get the house. It's like inverse RICO. Get called a nigger, you get a house. Oh, Jesus Christ. Okay, so we're moving to this article that is actually it's a response from Ryan Saavedra from the Daily Wire, which is Ben Shapiro's website. And the title says, expert, porn and violence video games are responsible for an increased number of psychopaths. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to take a moment not to bully those of you listening to this that are conservatives, but just to say that as it relates to Democrats in Congress trying to regulate games, you are right. However, there are still very many conservatives in this country, conservatives, not Democrats, conservatives, that do want to regulate video games and do blame video games for violence. Just so you know, just so you can't pinpoint it on Hillary Clinton and Joe Lieberman and fuck knows who else. It includes conservatives and always has. So spare me your lies. So let's get into this fucking hard science by fucking Daily Wire, and let's listen about how fucking gaming is leaving people dead. Should I continue using that? Yeah, I'll read in that voice. I don't give a fuck. Many have used the term psychopath to describe Las Vegas gunman Stephen Paddock following the deadliest shooting in United States history. According to the world's leading expert in psychopathic behavior, the number of psychopaths in the world is growing due to online pornography and violent video games. I know what I'm jerking off. I'm just like, and then I just jump up and I grab my pistol and I'm ready to go out and fucking murder. In violent video games. The shooting left 59 dead. I didn't know that another died. That's sad. With over 500 more injured as Paddock fired upon a group of country music concert goers from Maroon at the Mandalay? I forgot how to fucking say the name. Bay Resort and Casino. That's a Seinfeld reference, by the way. The term psychopath first came into light when the media reported that Paddock's father, who was a career criminal, was described as being psychopathic and an FBI wanted post. Paddock's father was a career criminal? I didn't know that. But I could tell you one thing about Stephen Paddock. He was a gamer. Stephen Paddock, who was 60-something years old, was a hardcore gamer. He's out there like, this is for, I love myself some Call of Duty. As he mowed down people. I can't wait for Call of Duty World War II. That's where I'm going to run off to and pre-order right after I'm done with this massacre. Whoa. What was that? That's the second time. I don't know what that was. I think it was an ad. In his book, The Wisdom of Psychopaths, What Saints, Spies, and Serial Killers Can Teach Us About Success, University of Oxford research psychologist Dr. Kevin Dutton, PhD, described a conversation that he had with the world's leading expert on psychopathic and criminal behavior, Robert Hare, professor of psychology at the University of British Columbia. Well, those are both pretty prestigious universities, but I'm surprised to hear fucking people from those universities say retarded shit that's been proven false endless times. Even by universities that I've dropped out of, has been proven that this is bullshit. In the conversation, Dutton and Hare asked Hare, if he thinks modern-day society is becoming more psychopathic. Judging by the fact that the homicide rate has been dropping considerably other than in the inner cities, at least not particular ones, it's increased. But the general trend in most cities is that it has dropped drastically in the last 50 years. Fucking goddamn fucking ads. It's like fucking up this thing. I'm just trying to. Okay. I think in general, yes, society is becoming more psychopathic, even though the murder rate's dropping. It's becoming more psychopathic. I mean, there's stuff going on nowadays that we wouldn't see 20, even 10 years ago. Kids are becoming anesthetized to normal sexual behavior by early exposure, and they're having less sex than ever before to pornography on the internet. There's less pregnancy with white people, but man, they're just turning into psychopaths that are sex crazy. Rent-a-friend sites are getting more. Where the fuck can I find one of these websites? I've never heard of Rent-a-Friend. Oh, I need to go to Canada and find me a fucking Rent-a-Friend Asian girl. Getting more popular on the web because folks are either too busy or too techie to make real ones. Oh, it's not sexual. Sorry. I thought it was Rent-a-fucking Sexual Friend. And I could rent a friend. I could use that service, actually. And I read a report the other day that linked a significant rise in the number of all-female gangs. The increasingly violent nature of What? Okay, I got to read this again. I'm sorry if I'm being inarticulate. And I read a report the other day that linked a significant rise in the number of all-female gangs to the increasingly violent nature of modern video game culture. What? Females make up 4% of the fucking prison population. What the fuck are you talking about? What are you fucking talking about? Are we? What is the name of that fucking old movie? Rockstar did a game on it. Ugh. Well, I won't even look it up. I don't give a shit. That fucking old movie from the 70s or whatever that has gangs in New York. I think it was. It was in New York. I can't remember. But that's the only time I've ever seen a fucking all-female gang is that movie in fiction. And I'm confident that in violent video games, where well over 90-something% of the people playing and buying those games are men, I'm pretty sure this is not a thing. I'm pretty sure this is not something in reality that is something happening. I'm pretty sure this is bullshit. The recent hike in female criminality is particularly revealing. I'm not aware of any uptick in criminal behavior by women. Maybe I should go study some research from fucking Oxford and whatever the fuck, British Columbia. I have not heard shit about fucking women, a scourge of women committing crime. I'm pretty sure it's still way just men committing crime. The prison population is ridiculously skewed. And that isn't just because of the fucking courts. It's because of the fact that most, like the people committing crime in every country in the world, the majority, overwhelmingly, near totality, is men. Dutton describes two. I don't give a shit what he describes as fucking behavior. God, are the fucking ads doing? I'm about to click off this because it's like I can't scroll down. Look at this. I'm holding the fucking mouse. Let me fucking. Is that it? Okay. Great article. So we're going to end our series of articles with a hella woke article from the New York Times by Joseph Goldstein from the 4th called After Charlottesville, ACLU braces for the next alt-right case. And let's read this whoa take, see what's going on here. And then I'll check out the chat. Sorry if you guys have been screaming in the chat. You know, the stream screwed up. I'm slurring my words. I sound like I'm retarded. You know, whatever else that's going on, I've been ignoring the chat the entire goddamn time. If you want to see your shit, you know, if you want to see me respond to whatever the fuck you're saying, you better give me some fucking money. Otherwise, I'm not reading anything. Anyways, here's some fucking douche in a helmet with some kind of weird flag. And a guy with a Volk nut. I'm pretty sure that's what it's called, a Volk nut. Which is that's not German, that's it's Norse, so Norwegian? I don't know. Fucking guy with an X and a baseball helmet. Guy with a shitty drawn star. A guy with an X from like a barrel, a water barrel that he cut up. This guy looks to have an actual shield. This guy has a duct tape cardboard shield, apparently. This guy's another water barrel that's been cut up. Oh, God. Like, again, like, I know that, like, they like to ebb between, oh, they're stupid, who cares, and then scary, but, like, I just find people like that stupid and jokes. Apparently, here's an article on how Stephen Paddock gambled. He was supposedly wealthy. So, you know, if I was wealthy, there'd be a hell of a lot of things that I would want to do than the fucking mow down people, especially bro, if you're wealthy at the age of 60 and you're already dating like a fucking non-white female, fuck, bro. Move overseas. You're smart. You could get laid until you're in the grave, bro. The fuck? Fucking faggot, angsty idiot killing a bunch of people. Anyways, Howard Simon has been leading chapters of the American Civil Liberties Union longer than anyone else, a career that has spanned 43 years and countless controversies. Oh, and I'm sure progressivism is not going to change anything here. He has helped the Ku Klux Klan rally at the state capitol and defended the right of a Florida pastor to burn a Koran, an affront that led to a deadly riot halfway around the world. Fuck them overseas. And that's that people want to talk about Muslims. A guy burned a fucking book, and there were riots. And in the late 1970s, he recalls appearing in just about every synagogue in Michigan. Okay. Where he was then based to explain why the ACLU was defending. Oh yeah, this is the very famous neo-Nazi march in Skokie, Illinois. Yeah, this was a very important Supreme Court case. Go to SCOTUS blog and go read it. It's something if you care about constitutional law, you should know. Big case. But he cannot recall any case that has provoked as much soul-searching within the ACLU as the organization's decision in August to sue on behalf of a man organizing a white supremacist rally in Charlottesville, Virginia. By the way, I found out that fucking guy that organized that the rally in Virginia. I'm pretty sure he's currently in jail. I think he got arrested on fraud or something. So I believe he's currently in jail. But I got to tell you that a bunch of limp dick fucking faggots in polo shirts with a bunch of goofy shields and Volk nuts on the fucking painted on them and the duct tape and big stupid goggles and fucking faggot bikers like they just went into a gay bar from the 80s and baseball helmets. I'm pretty sure these guys aren't as scary as legit fucking, neo-Nazis from the 70s. I'm pretty sure those Nazis were way fucking scarier and more willing to do violence than a bunch of these fucking dweeby middle-class faggots with their duct tape shields. Okay, these guys are jokes. They are jokes. Look at them. Look at them. They're all, exception of this guy who's kind of lanky. They're pudgy. They're all pudgy. They got these stupid, shitty mom dressed me today fucking cargo pants. These guys are an embarrassment. Okay? I guarantee these guys are getting as laid as much as I am, which is not at all at the moment. So these guys are not scary. They're not spooky. The guy that called the one guy a nigger and pulled the pistol and shot at him because he was using a spray can as a flamethrower, that guy who shot at him was pretty scary, but that guy looked pretty fucking legit, and he's also like 70 years old, which you don't see here. You don't see the 70-year-old guy with a pistol in this photograph. You see a bunch of pudgy, middle-class, fucking 20-something dickheads. That rally ended not only in the memorable First Amendment victory, but a violent melee that left woman. The woman didn't die in a fucking melee. It's because some guy that had schizophrenia drove his fucking secondhand Dodge Charger into a crowd, and she had a heart attack and died because she was a fat piece of shit. Provoking horror around the country. I'm pretty sure that people made a bigger deal about this than they did the thing that just happened in Vegas. All right, seriously. They made a bigger deal about this fucking fat fuck dying from a heart attack than what just happened in Vegas. I just think the emotion and depth of agonizing was deeper than I can remember. Mr. Simeon, late last month after returning an ACLU conference in Denver. Within the ACLU, many people were taken aback by the rise of the armed alt-right. Again! These people are not fucking intimidating. Look at them. Look at them. You call this armed? They have shields cut out of water barrels. These are fucking plastic. You have one guy here that looks like cardboard with duct tape with some dumb shit written on it in a fucking Sharpie. These people are not intimidating. Jesus Christ. Mr. Simon said, referring to the size and aggressiveness of the white supremacist turnout in Charlottesville, as well as the presence of people openly carrying guns. I don't think they were openly carrying guns. I think that was not the Minutemen. What the fuck? Whatever the fuck that goofy militia group were. Whatever the fuck they're called. I'm pretty sure they're even from New York. As far as I know, they weren't there on the side of the white supremacists, not to my knowledge. I'm pretty sure they were there, as far as I know, as like moderators. Like they were just there to make sure that nobody did anything. That could be false. Maybe they were defending the alt-right or whatever the fuck. But as far as I know, they didn't do shit. They didn't do anything. And that was a separate group. So, if you want to say whatever their name is and say it here, say that they were there, that's true. But they weren't part of that guy's, group. They weren't. They were different. They're constitutionalists, as far as I know. And that's it. That's the whole. They are on the right, but it's different. Since then, a question has hung over the organization. What will it do the next time the alt-right seeks the ACLU's help? Well, my guess is based on my knowledge of the ACLU as a former member and someone who's paid attention to their actions for years, is that they will go where the money goes. If they see it as more profitable to help them, they will help them. If they see it as less profitable to help them, they won't help them. That is what the ACLU's motivations are currently. It is chasing money. I've shown evidence in the past. I have articles that I could show you right now that I have saved. They chase money. That is what they do. They are a completely hollowed out organization. They are just a facade at this point. They are a joke, and it's why I quit and why I have advocated for anyone that is currently a member to quit, because you shouldn't be sending them your money. They are a hollowed out, shallow organization that has no depth, no principles, no nothing. They're chasing money. That question has cut fault lines through the ACLU, with a group of staff members sending an open letter taking issue with the organization's long-standing work of defending white supremacist and free speech cases. Our broader mission, which includes advocating the racial justice guarantees in the Constitution and elsewhere, not just the First Amendment, continues to be undermined by our rigid stance, says the letter, which a former member of the ACLU's board, Michael Myers, provided to the Times. About 200 staff members. The ACLU has about 1,300 full-time employees sign onto the letter, according to the spokesperson. So I can't do the numbers in my head, but a decent portion, 200 of 1,300 employees, is calling on the ACLU as an organization from within to stop protecting free speech, to instead pursue racial justice instead. And they see those things as mutually exclusive. You cannot pursue racial justice with free speech. There. You have to get rid of it. You got to chuck it in order to pursue racial justice. And the fact that they have 200 internal members fighting for that is a joke. It shows you how polluted this organization is with progressive ideologues. And that was not my decision. That was this company's decision. This is not random people that came off the streets. This is 200 staff members that the ACLU as an organization hired. They hired these people to work for them. And now they are pressuring the organization from within to abandon this principle, which is what they're known for. That Skokie case, it's the landmark case that they fought for. It's the landmark case, one of the big things they did. And they want to chuck that all overboard. I do not find this in any way surprising. I am not surprised by this article. I'm not surprised by this internal demand. I'm not surprised by any of this in the slightest. And it's why I'm showing this to you. It's not that I'm here to surprise any of you. It's here to showcase once again that hashtag Louis was right. I was right. I continue to be right. I will always be right about this organization, because this organization is done. It has been hollowed out. It is gone. It is devoid of principles. It chases money. That's why it is not worth my time. It's not worth my money. It's not worth any of your time or money. This organization should be dissolved, because even though every once in a while they do some good, eventually they're going to start doing evil, because that's what happens with every organization like this. Once it gets hollowed out, and once they concede to these fucking progressive ideologues, these totalitarians, once they do concede, and they will concede. Maybe not this time. They will eventually, because eventually the progressives will infect the organization to the point where there will be progressives at the top, and instantly it's over. Then then there's no debate anymore. It just happens. And it's just a matter of time before that happens. And so get out if you aren't already. Just get out of this organization. Stop supporting them. Stop sending them money. Stop, mentioning the ACLU. And if somebody mentions the ACLU, say that they used to be a good organization, and I stand by the principles that they once believed, but they don't anymore. They are a hollowed out organization that stands for nothing but where is that money at, baby? Got to get that donor money. This letter has to be seen for what it is, a repudiation of free speech principles, Mr. Meyer said. That is correct. The ACLU's executive director, Anthony Romero? Yeah, Romero. By the way, he's one of the reasons why this is happening. He's a piece of shit. Said in an interview that the organization was not, after Charlottesville, retreating from its long-standing defense of free speech because there's money. Even hate speech, a tradition that goes back to the organization's earliest years. Even making that distinction is part of the narrative. It is in the ACLU's DNA to defend free speech from government censorship, including and especially hateful speech in times when it is being shut down, he said. I'll repeat that for those of you that aren't listening closely. It is in the ACLU's DNA to defend speech from government censorship, including and especially hateful speech in times when it is being shut down. Not speech from censorship, from government censorship. See how he's kind of, just switching. He's doing a little bit of a switch on you. He's just sort of, trying to deflect away from the fact that he isn't actually defending this in the way that he should, full-throatedly. Notice that, and that this is the guy running the organization, running it. He is at the top, and he's making the distinction of government censorship. Because we all know how the government is just out and out trying to censor everything nowadays. It's not people. It's not organizations. It's not companies. No, it's government censorship. Right. Still, after Charlottesville, the organization has been evaluating its criteria for accepting new free speech cases, Mr. Romero said. Again, here's that deflection. Here's that pivoting. We're going to pivot around. Who knows where I stand? Whoever the money is. One issue is how the ACLU should evaluate the potential for violence when representing groups seeking to hold demonstrations. How do we balance a concern for public safety with freedom of speech? Mr. Romero asked, pivoting like a fucking madman. Another question under consideration, he said, relates to how the ACLU should evaluate the credibility of organizations pledging a peaceful demonstration. Oh, I didn't know there was credibility. Credibility to organizations. Oh. All those credible organizations that we have to defend free. It's all those non-credible organizations that we cannot defend. It's the credible ones that we'll defend. Oh, more pivoting, more pivoting. Mr. Romero also indicated that the organization is not inclined to represent groups seeking to hold armed rallies. This, he said, was not a change in approach, but a principle the ACLU espoused as far back as 1934. Oh, I'm sure that's relevant. An ACLU pamphlet issued that year defended the right of Nazis to hold meetings, but the pamphlet laid out the ACLU's opposition to permitting Nazis to engage in drilling with arms, that is, wielding them in public. Well, again, the guys that showed up with guns, other than the one guy that called the black guy a nigger that shot at him with a pistol, other than that one guy, the guys with guns were a separate group, as far as I know. You could name them just so I can remember what they're called. I believe they were a separate group. They weren't even from the state. Fascism was then sent in Europe, blah, 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 blah. There's a better analog than Skokie, Mr. Romero said, noting that the ACLU's famous defense of the right of neo-Nazis to march against the significant opposition in the Chicago suburb came at a time when Nazi marches were sometimes outnumbered 70-1 by counter-protesters and dependent on the police for protection. The issue in Skokie was the threat of violence by people who would be so moved by anger that they would attack the Nazis, Mr. Simon said. Mr. Simon today, executive director of the ACLU in Florida, that's not Charlottesville. Yeah, I'm pretty sure they're outnumbered more than 70-1. The Mr. Simon, emphasized that after Charlottesville, neither he nor colleagues have spoken to or any less resolute about defending the First Amendment. But he said there was a recognition that guns have changed a lot in the decades since Skokie. Give me a break. The phenomenon of people turning up at demonstrations with rifles struck him, he said, as relatively new. Well, you just said that they were going to march with arms. What the fuck were they going to march with? Rifles. And guess what they showed up with? The other group did in Charlottesville. They showed up with rifles and handguns. You're acting as though they showed up with nuclear weapons. Like, what the fuck are you talking about? It's different. No, it isn't. No, it isn't different. They showed up then with arms. You said no. Another group showed up this time. It was a different group. It was a different group. But again, pivoting. Some local ACLU, Some local ACLU affiliates found the lessons of Charlottesville straightforward. If white supremacists march in our towns armed to the teeth, Jesus Christ, and I'm not even going to bother explaining again that it was a different group. I'm just going to leave that alone because I'm sick of explaining it. With the intent to harm people, they're not engaging in activity protected by the United States Constitution, the California affiliates declared. Big surprises from California. Yet some ACLU members expressed the concern that the ACLU's resolve to defend the most controversial speech may be weakening after Charlottesville. 9 longtime ACLU members wrote to the organization that the new criteria for accepting new cases were an invitation to shirk responsibility for protecting the Bill of Rights. That is absolutely true. In an interview with Norman Stiegel, the former head of the ACLU's New York affiliate, which is what I belong to, and a signer of the letter, noted that refusing to take armed groups as free speech clients would have meant turning down, say, the Black Panthers, which is absolutely true. Presumptions about a group that carries arms, the letter states, may be used to invent rationales for declining to represent certain clients. Exactly. That's my point. It's pivoting. You're trying to chase donors' money, and Anthony Romero, who runs the organization, is a fucking piece of shit. If any of these people had any backbone, they demand his resignation because he needs to go. He's terrible. Everything that has been going wrong with the ACLU has been under his administration, Anthony Romero. Before I signed on to the ACLU, he was there, and after I quit, he is still there. He's still there now. He is terrible. He should go. They should be demanding his resignation. He's terrible. And he's facilitating all of this. If the fucking California chapter sent me that fucking letter, I'd say, we're not changing. If you don't like it, resign from the organization. Go be progressive somewhere else. This is not a progressive organization. This is a civil libertarian organization. If you are not a civil libertarian, you can go jump off a fucking cliff and die, you worthless sack of shit, which is what these people are. Fuck progressives. You are worthless. You are detrimental to our society. You have ruined this organization. You've ruined many things in this world. Name me one thing that progressives haven't ruined. Name me. Gaming, movies, comics, civil liberty organizations, atheist groups. Name me one thing that progressives have not fucked. You've destroyed the left. You've done that successfully. I cannot stand progressives. If you want to go out there and say how I need to have a conversation with them, no. No, they are my ideological enemy because I am actually principled. I am not a fucking communist, a glorified communist that is fucking 8 or 60 years of academic shit shoveled into their mind. That is all you are. Fuck you. You are nothing but a detriment to this society, and everything that you infect, you ruin. Every single thing. Anyways, complicating matters is the fact that some armed militiamen who attend right-wing demonstrations claim to be there not as participants as peacekeepers. Yes. George Curbelo, a commander of the rifle-toting militia contingent at Charlottesville, which I wish they would... Are they going to name this fucking anywhere? And it says this group is ready to support and defend everyone's constitutional rights. Again, they're constitutionalists. Some people assumed his men were there with white supremacists, but Mr. Carbello said that his contingent of militia, called the New York Lightfoot, which I thought they're actually called something else, had no affiliation with the white supremacists that were there, their narrative, or their actions. So despite the fact that this fucking article says over and over and over again that they showed up armed, the militia group says, no, we're not there, we're constitutionalists, we don't endorse them. As the ACLU considers the lessons of Charlottesville is remained largely on the sidelines as the alt-right movement reignited a free speech debate on college campuses. Oy vey, and I say that just rolling my eyes. Since Charlottesville, public universities in at least 6 states have rebuffed attempts to bring the alt-right ideologue Richard Spencer to campus, citing the risk of violence. Richard Spencer is not an intellectual. He is such a fucking lightweight. I mean, go watch that debate between Jared Taylor and fucking Sargon, and you tell me that fucking Jared Taylor was just firing on all cylinders and Sargon had nothing to say. He was just there with his foot in his mouth, didn't have shit to say. No, these people are not that difficult to intellectually challenge. Showing up there and punching them and getting into violent altercations with them, why? Oh, I know, because you had 60 years of Marxist shit shoveled into your minds. You should all fucking die. Fuck you. That's why. You can't help yourselves because you're violent ideologues. You're everything you claim to hate. Whatever comes of the debate inside the ACLU, leaders of the alt-right say they are looking past the Civil Liberties Union and seeking to forge more sympathetic legal alliances. We do not want or need their help. Kyle Bristow, a Michigan lawyer who identifies with the alt-right, wrote in an email explaining that he was building a network of like-minded lawyers. Fair enough. The alt-right can do whatever they want. It's not about the alt-right. I don't give a fuck what they say or what they do. Fuck the alt-right. They are a joke of a group. The alt-right is nothing but a bunch of pudgy, bourgeois faggots. The alt-right is a joke. And the ACLU is a joke. They're both farces. And I have no respect for either. So that is the end of the articles. I actually thought I was going to go on for a little bit less than that because I got some reports to finish up, and I was actually going to... Oh, there was some sort of fucking ad in the background. That's what that was. That noise was. Hopefully that wasn't playing the whole time or some shit. All right, so I will check to see if there's any super chats. And there are. First is by Lions. This is how many eggs can you fit in your asshole? And I don't know. I don't know. And you won't find out for $5. I'll tell you that. Mitch says, my dad is 57 and a hardcore gamer. LOL. Cool for your father. I've never heard of somebody that old that's into video games. Graham says, following Burma, Muslims brutalize, oppress Buddhists. Buddhists react, labeled villains, Islamists, adept at manipulating Western media, playing victim. Absolutely, man. Absolutely, Graham. I mean, you got to realize, man, that as it relates to the Muslims, there's so much involved. It isn't just the Islamists and the apologists in the media, like you see, especially in Australia and the UK. Especially in the UK, there used to be just out and out fucking crazy Islamists defending Islam on television until they went to fucking jail for being Islamists and being involved in terrorism. In Australia, it's bad as well. But in America, we have lesser versions of those. We have Islamists for sure in this country that are apologizing and propagandizing for Islam. But we also have progressives, many times that have financial connections, the Young Turks, to fucking propaganda arms for Saudi Arabian outlets or other, Qatar, UAE, whatever, all the Sunni countries. They have connections to those countries and propaganda arms from there. And you got to add on top of that there are people that own that there are billionaires and rich Muslims that own stock in every major media corporation. I can't speak to every single one, but even Fox, as far as you know, has a rich Saudi Arabian that has stock in that company. So any company that has a shitload of ownership from Muslims is not going to come out and say, yeah, fuck Muslims, look at all this terror attack. They're going to, hold their punches. They're going to hold back because they have a risk. And it's a financial risk at a corporation, which, as we all know, that corporations, with limited exceptions, are pursuing money. That's what they want. Anytime there's a massacre, there's a shooting, that's why the media is always there. That's why it's 24/7 fucking press, is because while they're covering the tragedy, while they're playing sad music and, oh, there's this mother hugging her child, blah, 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 it's so tragic, they're selling ads. They're selling ads. It's big money. It's big money for them because they can justify the 24/7 stream of news, and they can sell ads, and people are watching. Every time there's a terror attack or an attack or a mass shooting or whatever, people turn on the news, and they make big money doing it, covering those tragedies. But with Muslims, there's a lot of financial incentive to not cover it. And there's also a lot of ideological incentive and political incentive to not cover it. You got to remember that it wasn't Democrats alone. It was Republicans, too, for years and years and years, that pushed the idea of religion of peace. It was fringe Republicans that would say something. So, this is something very new in terms of actually covering this issue. And as you can tell, that since 9/11, things have continued to really deteriorate, not really gotten better. The Lions asks again, have I ever stuck my dick in a vacuum hose? No, I have not stuck my dick in a vacuum hose. Do you have any more ridiculous questions involving sexual acts there, Lions? All right, well, since we'll turn this over to the chat. So any of you guys out in the chat, go ahead and ask any questions, any things you've been saying, screaming in the chat the whole time that I've not been looking at. Any questions? Any questions at all? What do Japanese chicks sound like during sex? You can go. Well, that depends. Do you mean in reality, or do you mean in like porn or visual novels? Because in porn, like Japanese porn, it's about as similar as it is to American porn, where they don't shut the fuck up. And they also talk a lot, apparently, especially in visual novels. They talk a lot. Anything you would stick in your ass by Lions again? No, I don't think so. I don't think there's anything that I would stick in my ass. Maybe a suppository if I was sick and needed to. Maybe that I'd stick in my ass. When can we expect your review of the upcoming My Little Pony movie? Never. I mean, I just about do 0 reviews on my channel. In any case, why would I review something that I have nothing associated with at all? You paid $5 to ask me that stupid fucking question, by the way, just to point that out to you. I appreciate the money, but Jesus. Do a review on the man who couldn't poop? I don't think so. That's okay, Lions. Appreciate the donation. Apparently, Derek asked the question. Did you see the BuzzFeed hit piece on Milo? They've done more than one. So, no. Tara Sophia asks, how many lolis have to die before the great waifu migrant wave gets here? I don't know. My position is that we shouldn't have to wait for the migrant wave. Not that we should create one necessarily, If the CIA is going to do anything stupid, they might as well do something. But not that. But we could always just increase the immigration. I'm pretty sure there's plenty of Korean women and I'm sure Chinese women and Japanese women that want to come here. So just up their position and just up their status on immigration. You can control that. Is there any future for the non-crazy left in the USA? And this is by Abaddon 380. Yes. Is there any future for the non-crazy left? I mean, I've talked about this every now and then, but I don't really know. Every time that I think maybe we can have some kind of comeback, it just seems to me that there's just so many fucking people in this country that have totally gone crazy. I mean, Trump derangement syndrome has impacted some really, really smart people. And considering that it's really impacted some really basic Democrats, it's not exactly helping the situation. I mean, when you have the progressives getting wound up on just everything, and they're getting worse and worse and more insane, and what they're saying is becoming more mainstream. I mean, you have people talking about whiteness and shit now on mainstream media, not even explaining anything or questioning it, just saying whiteness as if it means anything. And there was a guy that got a lot of press that went on Tucker Carlson the other night and was talking about whites as a collective. And Tucker Carlson actually got mad at him and said to him, like, I know you, like, you know me, and you're speaking like a racist. Like, why are you talking like this? And this is what I'm talking about. It's like there's a sizable chunk of the left that includes progressives, of whatever variety. I don't even discriminate anymore against progressives. Progressives are crazy. If I meet somebody who says they're a progressive and I ask them, like, well, are you actually a progressive? Like, do you believe in whiteness? Do you believe in white supremacy? Do you believe in patriarchy? Do you believe in all these different things? Like, do you have all these Marxist concepts of class, or not class, but the progressive stack and all that? And they go, oh, no, I don't believe any of that shit. And it's like, well, don't call yourself a progressive then, because you're not. You're not a progressive. You might be on the left, you might be a leftist, you might be a liberal, whatever. You're not a progressive then. And that should be the thing. The progressivism is toxic. It is a dog shit ideology that only shit people should believe in. And if you see somebody that says, yeah, I'm a progressive, say it. Like, do you believe in all this shit that progressives believe in? If they say no, then stay to them. Stop calling yourself a progressive then, because they believe this shit. And if that's what you want to be a part of, then fine. Then you can be a communist along with them, and then I'll have no regard for you in any way. And maybe that's how radical I am now, but if I had a friend tell me that, like, oh, I'm a progressive now and I believe in this, and I'm sorry about my white privilege and whatever else, assuming they're white and the rest, I'd be like, I'm not gonna be friends with you. Like, I don't want to deal with your shit. Go be a fucking useless piece of shit elsewhere. I want nothing to do with you. I can find somebody who is probably conservative that maybe they could use another fucking friend, and then I don't have to listen to any of that shit ever, because I don't want to hear it. I deal with enough of it in my own life, reading stories like I read tonight. And I don't want to deal with that when I'm just trying to relax with friends. I know that that's not the right thing to say, but it's like, at this point, I really want nothing to do with people that are progressives. And also, again, it's not that every time somebody says, I'm a progressive, therefore you punch them in the face or whatever else. It's, you challenge them and you say, are you really a progressive? Are you really a progressive? Do you believe these things? It's up to you to challenge them, because I think that it's up to the people on the left that are still on the left, that still count ourselves as on the left, that are sane, to challenge these people and say whether they are or are not a progressive. And if they are a progressive, man, I'm not going to bother. You want to go try to deconvert them, deprogram them? Good fucking luck to you. Nothing I do here is helping in any way to deal anything with that. So, and nothing Sargon does, nothing anybody does, nothing. I mean, name me one fucking person that's part of our quote unquote community. Somebody that covers progressive politics in the way that we do. Name one of us that is actually reaching people in a real way. Name one of us, because I don't think there's anybody. Because I think these people are fucking cultists. These people are deluded. They're crazy. You have to deprogram them. They have to be shocked out of their fucking ideology. And I don't think any of us really have the means to do that. You know, it really is water and oil. It's just there's no connection or movement. You know what I mean? Like you can't cut into it. Maybe that's pessimistic, but whatever. Let's see here. We can start the merger. I think you mean Lions, the racial merger, by exporting Bill Clinton. I'm not sure what you mean by that. Red Dog asks, have I seen the Sargon Thomas Smith debate? I have not. If you want to link that in the stream, you can go ahead and do that. I've been told it's behind a paywall, which I can't believe. That's fucking stupid. I'm not really a big fan of that, considering, you know, if I was Sargon, especially if he didn't agree to it, I would never agree to that. If I did any kind of panel or debate or anything like that, and somebody was like, yeah, by the way, we're going to put this behind a paywall, I'd be like, no, I'm not going to participate then. Fuck that. But what's the fucking point of a fucking public debate if no one can fucking watch it unless you buy it? Like this is some kind of goddamn research at a college. It's ridiculous. You're just watching two assholes debate, in which it's just Sargon apparently shouting down some progressive fucking retard. That's all it is. Why? Maybe I'm wrong, but that's what I was told specifically. Will asks, is the Constitution a living document? Is the Constitution a living document? Why are you ripping the ACLU for being money hungry when you're a dialogue stripper, and you do see the RWW on S? I'm not sure what you mean by that last part. And did you see the RWW? RWW. I don't know who you mean by that, Will. On S. I don't know what you mean by that last part. Yeah, I do this for money, but it's whatever. I mean, this is different. I don't claim to be a fucking unbiased, principled organization fighting for your rights. I don't do that here. That isn't what I do, but that is what they do. And that is what they will tell you as you send them money. They will lie to your fucking face that is what they do. And it was only after a growing series of frustrations by this organization that I decided to fucking finally quit. And I've covered that in the past. That it wasn't just one instance where I up and dropped them. It was a series of bad fucking cases where they defended the worst thing possible, where they were defending cases in favor of collective rights and directly against individual rights. That is antithetical to the framework of the Constitution. And the fact that they're setting Supreme Court case law precedent on collective rights, that's insane. It is indefensible in terms of something to do. And for a civil libertarian organization to do that, that's beyond the pale. That is something that is, you know, non-negotiable. Anyone that says that they are civil libertarian has to agree that individual rights is the framework of the U.S. Constitution and that collective rights are bad. You have to agree to those two things in order to be a civil libertarian. You have to agree to the framework of the U.S. Constitution, the principles of it, which is individual rights, and setting those in opposition, you know, setting those up to be protected against the government or anything else, really. It's not to have the government have powers. No, it's to protect the individual from the government. Individual rights. That is the framework of the U.S. Constitution. If you fight for collective rights, you are fighting against the framework of the U.S. Constitution and the vision of the founders, and fuck you. Fuck you. Get the fuck out of this country. Go fight for collective rights in some other fucking country. Not here. That isn't the framework of this Constitution or this country. Get out of the country. So yeah, that's your answer, Will. I don't know what you mean by that last part, bro. Also, two questions. Do you think? Okay, the second question was: did you see the hit piece done on Sargon and 6? Yeah, I did see that. I sent that to Sargon. I sent it to him myself. Yeah, I did see that. Where they called him white supremacist. Actually, no, they had a hit piece on him the other day, but the one where they called him a white supremacist, no, I didn't send. I did see that, but I didn't send him that one. But there was a hit piece from another outlet just the other day on Sargon. They were calling him part of the alt-right in that other article. It's pretty crazy. I yelled a couple times in the stream. Okay, hang on. They lost $10,000 because of Fisty Splinters. That's why it's behind a paywall to make up for that. Really? How? Why do they have to pay Christy Splinters or whoever the fuck 10 grand? They had to spend an extra $7,000 on security alone because of the smear campaign by Steve Shies and Splinters. $3K also in additional fees. Jesus. Well, thanks for that explanation there, Zoe. Or Zoe, whatever. Well, that's shitty. I didn't know that. I didn't know that their fucking faggoty campaigning actually resulted in anything. Whatever. I guess it's worth it to see Sargon blow out that other guy. Apparently, and I've been told this by Sargon himself, and I think he said it tonight to me. Yeah, he did. That the other guy, that Tom guy, apparently after he lost that debate, in essence, he was really mad. And I mean really, really mad. And that's what Sargon said to me tonight, that he watched something where this guy was just going on and on and on and on, just raging at the fact that he lost the debate. Which I guess it makes it worth maybe that 13,000. But you know, I would say that I know everyone wants to say that there is no cultural war and roll their eyes and fucking whatever, but it is a win. It is a win in the cultural war to have somebody like Sargon get in an actual debate on a stage in person with some aggressive dipshit and to beat the shit out of that guy. And for that guy to then go on to get really fucking angry. I got another. Take $2, you hooker lawyer. I'm not a lawyer. I dropped out of school before I became a lawyer. Should talk shows die? Somebody fucking watches them, apparently. I think talk shows are garbage. If you include stuff like what Gavin McInnes does on wherever the fuck he is now, no, because it's online and it's interesting to listen to. Like, I've always been interested in listening to like shock jock kind of stuff, and I would say that Gavin McInnes is in some ways a right-wing shock jock, but he's interesting. But I occasionally listen to Ben Shapiro, although he can get kind of insufferable. Will says, actually, I got two Wills now. Will May says, go buy it and watch it with this. Oh, thanks, Will. I appreciate that, bro. That's very nice of you. Everyone, hold on. Everyone in chat say thanks, Will. Or I should say press S. Press. Okay. Anyways. Okay. Other Will Hannah says, I only have phone internet and my Fallout 4 add-ons have red diamonds and exclamation points on people. Help? What? You have phone internet and your Fallout 4 add-ons have red diamonds. I don't know what red diamonds means. I mean, they're not working. I'm not sure. I mean, the Fallout 4 add-ons aren't all that good. I'm trying to remember. I know the robot one. It seems actually really interesting until after you beat it, and it's just like kind of anticlimactic. And the problem that I have with the robot one is the fact that the robot uh, raiders, they stay in the environment and they're annoying as shit. They just show up and attack. So I don't like that one. Um, the one with the Japanese chick and her Japanese family, where you go to wherever the fuck and you deal with the children Adam and some other group. I don't know if I even beaten that one. I know I started it, but I don't know if I beat it. My favorite DLC from Fallout 4 is Nuka World. Nuka World is fucking awesome. Nuka World's great. I don't know how many people have played Nuka World in Fallout 4, but I enjoyed the fuck out of it. I thought that was a great DLC. The environments are great. The aesthetics are great. I've always enjoyed like the whole Nuka Cola aspect to it. I've bought a whole bunch of merch because of that DLC. But yeah, I really enjoyed the Nuka World DLC. Let's see here. But yeah, for whatever shit's going on, I can't help you. Fantano also got attacked by the Fader. Yeah, that's what it was. I saw the AV Club one, but I read the Fader one. The Fader one, I believe, also attacked Sargon. Or maybe it was the AV Club. I can't remember which. One of those attacked Sargon specifically. Like, it went down a line of attacks against him while I was talking about Fantano. Fantano's been taking a lot of shit for the past few days. So, that's too bad for him. The Lion says for $10... which I appreciate again. I appreciate your donations, Lion72, even though you ask a lot of stupid shit. Thanks for your good work. Love listening to you while playing games. Would you fuck a Fallout Ghoul? You must not be too familiar with my streams, dude, because I'm pretty sure that I've explained this before, but one of the problems that I have in the Fallout universe is the fact that the super mutants, the ghouls of whatever caliber you want to say it, they're all the same to me. That those groups, the mutants, have not been evacuated. And you can go watch the HBO special Conspiracy to go find out what that word means. But I mean it in the same way, that I want to see those groups evacuated. And I largely, if not entirely, agree with President Eden's solution in Fallout 3, which I actually played not that long ago, and it's not that good of a game. I beat it again. Not that good of a game. Not that good. Not terrible, but it's pretty funny with Fallout 3 because it was way overrated, and then it basically steadily became especially after Fallout in Vegas. It became steadily more and more unpopular, and then right before Fallout 4 and afterward, Fallout 3 has become very unpopular from what I've seen. And I can say that it's not a very good game. Fallout 3 is not very good. It was revolutionary at the time, if you ask me, but overall not very good. And Fallout 4 is as well not revolutionary. And I wouldn't say I would say that I like it. I like Fallout 4. I thought there was a decent portion of it that it was done better than even in the previous games, including Fallout New Vegas. I like the combat in Fallout 4. There was other aspects to it that I did like. There's also a lot of like you can take it, you can leave it with some of the aspects of Fallout 4. But I thought I liked it aesthetically. There's a decent amount about it that I did like some of the experimentation they did with the voice acting in that, even though a lot of people hated it. I've talked about this in the past, but I don't mind Fallout 4 that much, and I like Nuka World. So again, it leads to the aesthetics. It fleshes out the universe. I think that there's a lot of things that people can hate about it, but they overlook a lot of other things in order to have that opinion, in my opinion. So I don't think Fallout 4 is that bad. But thanks for the donations, Lines. Okay. let's see here. Yeah, I would agree that Fallout 4 was a disappointment. I will agree with that, but I don't think it's necessarily a bad game entirely. I don't want to watch Rags' videos on Fallout 4. I don't have 40 minutes to listen to meandering complaints. I know that I'm hardly one to talk, but it's one of the reasons why I'm not really subscribed to Rags. He's kind of meandering. But again, you could say the same for me probably. You're playing Nuka World right now, Lightning? Good. It's fun. You get to basically decide whether you're going to free to slaves or become essentially a slaver, but a warlord, a raider warlord. Be careful how you hand out the shit because one of those groups are going to betray you. Just spoilers. But yeah, it's a cool area. I do belong in 10 Penny Tower. I do. 10 Penny Tower is fucking nice. I belong in Raven Rock. That's where I belong. If it wasn't for fucking Colonel Autumn, that stupid cunt, if he didn't have fucked the whole goddamn thing, then they probably would have won. You can fuck a ghoul in Fallout 4. Or no, Fallout New Vegas. You can fuck a ghoul in Fallout New Vegas. It's in that one small casino in the like the shitty area where the Elvis gang is. That area on the outskirts of Vegas, outside the strip. There's a small casino there. It's actually not a bad casino to win a shitload of money at. I know that I played a lot of I gambled a lot in Fallout New Vegas, and it did very well. I got actually pretty decent at blackjack, even though like they tilt it in your favor if you have high luck. I found that they tilt it in your favor. Atomic Wrangler, yep. I don't have any thoughts on David Pakman other than I left a comment on one of David Pakman's recent videos, and it's because he's full of shit. David Pakman's a fucking. He's either blinded by his own bullshit, or he's willfully lying. I'm not a big fan of David's. At least with fucking, Kyle Kalinske, I know he's a fucking idiot. With David Pakman, I don't know if he's blinded by his own ideology and his bias, or he is willfully lying. I can't tell. With Kyle, he's just a fucking idiot. Okay. Any more questions that we got here before we wrap? Woo, I should probably wrap this up shortly. So I gotta finish some. I was actually gonna play some fucking some Persona, but I guess that's not happening tonight. What have I played recently? I have played excuse me. I have played the Guild 2, which I just saw on a Steam sale. It was just like, yeah, buy the Guild 2. And I was like, oh, okay, it's only $2. I like sim games every once in a while. It's an econ sim game with like some espionage aspects. Let me buy this. And I played the shit out of it. It's not easy. There's a learning curve. They don't really explain shit. You got to look up shit online. Even there, it's old, so it's hard to find out how to do certain things. But it's addictive as shit, in my opinion. I played it for like 5 or 6 days straight without really getting anywhere, just to learn different things about it. So the Guild 2 was something I've been playing recently, although I've stopped because I just kind of put it down. I've been playing Persona on and off, but I've barely gotten anywhere into it. But I've been playing really recently. I've been playing the shit out of the new Warhammer, which I don't really know exactly how I feel about it just yet. I had very big issues with the first Warhammer, and I had a friend of mine convince me to buy this. And I can say that right now I'm not yet regretting the buy. I can say that I've been playing almost entirely the Dark Elves. I've tried the Skaven and the I haven't tried. Was it the Lizardman? Yeah, I did try the Lizardman for like a half second. I didn't really like it. I'm not a really big fan of like weird units like that. Like I didn't like Chaos in the first game. I barely played them. I didn't really like them. I hated the Beastmen. I'd never even bought the DLC because I don't like the Beastmen. I probably will never play the Lizardmen because I just don't like them. I don't like the aesthetic. I don't like I've fought them a bunch of times and I fucking hate them because of that. And that's one of the things you run into, or at least I do when I play games. If I fight something enough, I eventually genuinely start to despise it. And so in the case of games like Warhammer, I don't like the Beastmen because they're a fucking pain in the ass. And I don't want to play as them because I don't like them. Chaos is a pain in the ass, so I don't want to play as them. I don't like them. And in this case, with the Lizardmen, I don't like them. The Skaven, I might give a chance because I played them for a few hours and just kind of got bored. And other than them, I've been playing the shit out of the Dark Elves. And it's like, God, Morthi or Marathi or Morthi. I forget how to say her name, but I've been playing her because she's the harder version of. I might be confusing the names. They both start with an M. Mordecai, I think, is the other one. Is the guy, and he's the easy version of that of that faction, and he seems really easy. He starts out in a largely easy area, and it's very easy to defend that area and swoop down and take a bunch of territory. So he seemed pretty easy. And as far as you don't have to maintain chaos. So I was like, I'll try more Thari, whatever the fuck her name is. And I've been playing the shit out of her. And I really dig the aesthetics of the Dark Elves. They remind me a lot of the vampires in the first Warhammer. And that's probably why I've stuck with them in playing them, because they remind me of them, not aesthetically necessarily, but just their combat style, the difference in the differentiation in units. And basically how what I like to do is to have two armies tag team together, have one being support and one being assault, so that if no matter what situation I'm in, I can have the means to get over walls, and if I'm attacked, then I can have the means to defend myself and allow them to come to me and take all the hits. And I did a lot of that with the vampires as well, even though you didn't really have much of the range with the vampires in the first game. With the Dark Elves in the second game, they have very good range. So I've been doing that, and I haven't set up the top tier setup that I've managed to come together in my own mind, which is basically a set of damage dealing units, armor piercing units, and shielded units to take hits. And then behind them, you have archers, you have dragons, you have what's the thing I'm forgetting? The artillery. You only need a couple things of the artillery, but you can set it up so that way, in any situation, you can just pulverize whoever comes at you or whoever you're going at, and you can just use that to cover the map. And if you just if you have enough of those pairs, you can just swoop across the map and just take whatever's in front of you, and nothing can stop you. And if you have to fight battles every time, then you do it because you can win every time. And it says whatever for the auto resolve, but you can win because you're set up to take on whatever the fuck they got. It doesn't matter. So I've been playing a decent amount of Warhammer. But yeah, I played a shitload of vampires. People are talking about the vampires. Yeah, I played a shitload of the vampires in the first Warhammer, and I was really happy when they came out with when Vlad von Karstein got his own faction, the von Karstein faction. Oh man, dude, that was after that. I don't think I ever played another faction. because I didn't really like Manfred that much, and I was like, all right, I get to play fucking Vlad Van Karstein and fucking and his waifu, and I get to I get to murder Manfred, his ancestor, and then just go crazy, and that's pretty much how it happened in the first Warhammer. Anyways, we got to wrap this up because I want to finish that video. Thoughts on synths in Fallout 4 similar to the ones in Detroit Become Human? Not really. I would say there's pretty a distinct difference. With the synths in Fallout 4, they're played pretty straight in that the consciousness that does exist in Fallout 4 isn't explained at all, as far as I recall. And the Institute treats them just as tools. But also, one of the unfortunate parts of the Institute is that their worldview isn't really explained, and their motivations aren't really explained, and how they take actions is never explained. So the institution, even though I want to like them, they're hard to like because they aren't fleshed out correctly. I would say that the writing in Fallout 4 is very much a weak point. Some characters are okay in that, and the locations are cool, and there are cool aspects to the game. And obviously the spoiler parts are interesting and provocative in that. I liked, I forget his name. He is when you're in the vault in the beginning of the game, he is the secondary antagonist, but he is the primary antagonist that you're introduced to. He's the one that goes into the vault and defrosts either your husband or wife. Forget that guy's name, but that guy I liked. I thought he was a very well done antagonist. Not perfect, but well done, fleshed out. Kellogg, yeah, he was good. The primary antagonist in the game, he's a secondary antagonist. The primary antagonist in the game is not very good. And the leader of the Brotherhood, like, I even like what they did with the Brotherhood, and a lot of people didn't like it. But I just couldn't like the leader. The leader of the Brotherhood was bad, but it was the other changes that I did like. I liked the new outlook of the Brotherhood. It was a lot more fascistic and a lot more aggressive and expansionist, and I like that about it. But unfortunately, they had a really uninteresting leader to cap it all off, so it just didn't work. The Railroad was whatever, you know. A lot of the supporting characters in the Railroad were really what's the word? Eccentric. I was about to say esoteric. That wasn't right. They're really needlessly eccentric. I just didn't really like it. And the only other faction is what is it? Minutemen. And okay, you know, I forget the name of the guy you start out with, who, you know, you save from wherever the fuck, whatever town that is in the beginning. He's okay. Yeah, another one, another settlement needs your help. Pretty much, that's pretty much I can summarize the Minutemen, is that you do everything yourself. At least with the fucking Brotherhood, it makes sense because you're not the leader. You're just another soldier. You become a paladin, which is like a really high ranking member of the organization. But I think that's where you top out. I don't think you go any higher than that. Overall thoughts on late night Jimmies? Are you talking about the retards that I tweeted out, the fucking late night talk show hosts and quote unquote comedians? The thoughts that I have are pretty much summarized in the picture that I tweeted out. It says, you know, the insufferables. That's the extent of my feelings on them. Yeah, I mean, yeah, Chris Breyer is saying that a lot of the Institute doesn't make any sense. Yeah, I mean that's the problem with the Institute, man. There's every aspect of the Institute that you can look at, other than the one aspect of hiring Kellogg, which makes sense. That part makes sense. Like his role in the organization makes sense as like a mercenary that they can control and they can bait by saying we can keep you alive and all the rest. He makes sense. It's everything else that doesn't make sense. I mean, even the guys they send out, the shit. They have those specific synths that they send out to retrieve other synths or to carry out missions. Even they don't really make much sense. It's like you know you're sending out synths, and the people you're meeting realize that they're part of the Institute and they're synths. That's why you use Kellogg. That's the whole. You keep a proxy to deny your existence. Everyone knows you exist. If you say, hello, I am from Institute, which one of them did. I remember that was at University Point. They said they were from the Institute. And it's like, you're supposed to deny that you exist. What the fuck? This doesn't even make any sense. Yeah, the Institute was badly written. Like, there's a lot about it that is cool. And especially when you go in the Institute is very cool. It's very aesthetically cool. But, God, there's so much about it that's poorly written. The problem with the Institute as well is because someone just said it, that they're evil. It's like, yeah, but they don't even act evil. Like, did anyone question if Kaiser was evil in Caesar's Legion? Did anyone question that? That this guy's an evil fuck, even though he's really brilliant? He's still an antagonist. He's still villainous. And anyone question that? But in the Institute, it's like who here is like overtly fucking evil? Kellogg was evil, but it's one guy. And he's a mercenary. He's not even part of the Institute. God, man, it was so badly written. Anyways, let's wrap this up. Red Dog says last of the night. Kyle's video on Jordan Peterson. I don't want to watch Kyle's video on Jordan Peterson. I don't care. I don't want to hear what he has to say about fucking Jordan Peterson. But anyways, let's get a final two questions. Two questions, and we'll end the stream. Put way too much vodka in this one. Stoli vodka, though. I don't really have much to say about Peterson. I've watched his stuff. He seems really smart. I don't really agree with his like weird new age Christian apologetic stuff, but you know, he seems pretty brilliant to me. But I don't really know if I would take that as much of a question. What's the best method of warming a pocket pussy? I'm pretty sure that JList actually sells something for you to warm your pocket pussy, so you can go buy that using my affiliate link. Lightning NC, question 1. How do I get a GF? Well, you download any of the numerous dating profile or dating media apps on your phone, and then you click off the different races other than Asian, and then you click search my immediate area. And then you just start chatting them up. Opie mouse pad or butt mouse pad? Neither. I'm not really sure how those work. I want a flat mouse pad. You know, you can go buy one of those using my affiliate link if you want to, but I want a flat one. Flat. Actually, I didn't even realize how ironic that is, but that actually is somewhat ironic with me, considering what I tweet out. But yes, flat as justice. Go with a flat mouse pad using my affiliate link. Or don't and use my affiliate link. Check Twitter. Tell me if you see the resemblance. What? Ooh, there's a picture to save. What's going on? Whatever. No joke. I'm 100% serious. This is Carl. It's a picture of a bald guy that looks like a bit like Socrates on the head of a chicken. That's weird. Well, Sargon's not bald, so you have to do better than that. Somebody sent me a link. I merely smiled at a TSA agent, and he asked for my phone number. To live life as a woman is to live life on the defense. I don't know. Some guy with bad taste asked some fucking ugly woman. I guess she's not that ugly. She looks foreign. Is she actually from this country? She's got that weird thing I've seen with some girls. She's got like an up pin nose. Weird. Eh. Square jaw and short chin. Not really into her. I don't really give a shit whatever bullshit she's saying. All right, that seems to be it on Twitter. I don't really care. I could get a fucking picture of Asia, any of the Asian girls I tweet out practically, and put it on a mouse pad, and it would be accurate. I saved a picture of a flat girl as I was looking at something else somebody sent me. Okay, well, I answered some question there, so we'll do one more question, and then I'm gonna slide into your DMs. No, it's all right. Are you going to actually put out the lewds on time this weekend? I don't know, man. Probably, maybe. I'll try to. It's funny now. Is actually one of the problems that I had to download them and re-render them, change the format because for whatever reason, when you download shit from Twitter, it comes out to some weird format, so you have to format them. I actually got a file for them now. I don't know what MTG is. You gotta lay that out, Zoe. I don't know, or Zoe. Louis, will you fuck my wife? No, it's all right, bro. She's probably not that good looking anyway, so I'm all right. I'm not a bull, and I'm sure we're okay. Magic the Gathering? No, no, I don't. I don't play any card games. I did play the Call of Duty World War II beta. That was okay. Or do you mean the old Blade Runner and the new one? Because I don't really have enough time to get into that. Get out of my fucking stream, you nerds. Fucking card playing nerds. Go play your fucking Gwent. Fucking nerds. How many? I was a black Nazi. I should have taken a screenshot on my character. It's so, bro, you have no idea how satisfying it is to be playing as somebody in a game and you kill an American and you say something in response to that as a black German woman. It's so funny. It's endlessly amusing. I may have been wrong about including black Nazis in the game. It's upsetting because it does unbelievably break the immersion, which they try to do. They try to make the multiplayer immersive. Like there's a million things going on as you're fighting. Everything's exploding, shit's flying over your head constantly, and it's all aesthetics of the game. And you're playing as a black female Nazi. Oh god. I was playing with a couple of friends of mine, and my one buddy and I were just going back and forth about how we're trying to. I can't even remember what we were trying to do. It was like we're trying to earn our keep in the Aryan race or something like that. I don't remember what joke we had going, but it was just he was playing as a black male and I was playing as a black female. It was funny. Would you RKO Hillary Clinton? Not if I want to get fucking barbelled. I think I won't. I'll let you do that so you can get barbelled or robbed at night, or whatever the current body count is and whatever the current death is, however the current method of murdering someone and getting away with it is. Dog shit writing in what game? Chandra? Which game? Still waiting, Chandra. I know the chat shouldn't be that slow. COD World War II? Well, I mean, the writing does appear to be actually bad. I mean, I haven't played the single player, so we don't know. But the fact is that they tried to make the multiplayer immersive and then added shit to it, tons of shit to it that makes no sense, stands out, shouldn't be there, and it doesn't help it. It really doesn't. The fact that there's so much emphasis on SMGs is ridiculous. And some of the map designs are fucking bizarre. Don't make any sense. Are really driven by SMGs. It's really a mess. But yeah, the Nazi shit and stuff is ridiculous because they defend it. They defend it, and that's the difference. You know, if they wanted to say that we're not taking this seriously and we're just doing it for the sake of diversity and just to have it there because fuck it, who cares? You know, we're not really about immersion. Then fair enough. It's stupid, but fair enough. But the fact is that they, from day one, they were screaming about the immersion of the game, and then they do that, and then they remove swastikas, and then they do this, and then they do that, and then they put SMGs everywhere. It's like, no, you actually don't care. You're just trying to make a COD game, and you're fucking it up. But anyways, I guess we'll end it there because we're already half an hour later than I even planned to go. Even I think an hour later than I planned to go. So I'll end it here. Thank all of you for listening to this, and be sure to subscribe to me on the Twitter, and to subscribe to this channel, and to support me on Patreon, and support me using the affiliate links in the description. And I'll link everything once I have a chance to do so, and I will render out the video and upload it so you, if you can't get enough of me, even after 3 hours, you can sit through a commentary that I recorded, I think, on Tuesday. You can listen to that. So, yep, thanks for being here, and I will see you again, hopefully, in the near future.